Hey guys, today I'm going to make the binding for my quilt. This binding is what I'm going to use when I'm hand binding my quilt. So for a clamshell that you might have made 100% by hand, or if you don't have a sewing machine, you can make this tape yourself out of the 2-inch binding strips that are in your kit. So I've got a 25mm bias tape maker. You can get it at any quilting shop, Spotlight. We will have them on our website. We don't yet, but we will. You can get them on Temu, I think. And you need a stick, a pokey stick, stiletto. So what I've done is I've cut off this fluffy bit of fabric from the end of my binding strip because it makes it hard to get it in there. And I can see that that's the right side. And just to start off with, I'm actually going to fold in each end and just press it. It just makes it easier to feed into this awesome little tool. So I'm going to feed that in like that, and I'm just going to push it in as far as I can, and then I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to use my stick to get it to go through while making sure that the same amount of fabric is going in on each side. So just turn it over, it's almost there. Pull that out. So once it's through, I'm just going to fix up this piece so that it's sitting up in there, and then what happens is magic. Basically, once you've got it set up and it's correct, you're going to pull this out and it's going to make your beautiful piece of binding already folded. Anyone who's tried to make these without this tool will know burnt fingers and a lot of annoyance because you have to fold and iron at the same time. So I'm just gently pulling that tool away and following it with the iron, and voila, we have our beautiful tape. I've gone ahead and made this one already. And then what I did was I folded that in half again and pressed it. And then I usually just put a little quilting clip on it to hold it in place. So this is what I'm going to use to put on my quilt. So this is my finished quilt that I'm ready to bind. I've got I've had a basting thread in here, so I'm just going to get rid of that. Now, in your instructions, you'll have instructions to trim your quilt a bit wider than this. Because we've made a binding tape that's only 1/2 inch wide now, we're just going to trim our quilt 1/4 inch from the edge. So you can measure that, or you can just eyeball it. It doesn't really matter. So I'll take my basting thread out, and then what I'm going to do is obviously I'm going to trim around all the sides first. But I just want to show you how easy it is. I'm just going to lay my beautiful binding strip that I made along there and connect that with a couple of clips, and I'm just going to sew along the front. I actually sew along the front and the back separately. But as I mentioned, you could sew straight through all the layers, just directly along here, or you could do a blanket stitch, whatever you like. It's so super easy to do it this way. Okay, I'm just going to show you the corner. So I've sewn my binding strip onto this edge. It's not actually sewn on, it's just clipped on because I'm not using this binding on this quilt. But just for this example, we're going to pretend that I've sewn it on. And I've done two sides, so I've either done the top and bottom or I've done the two long sides of the quilt. And then you're going to connect the last two sides. So this is my beautiful binding tape that I've made. I'm just going to slide it onto the quilt in the same way as we did previously and clip that in place. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to fold this corner in on itself to give us a neat edge. So it doesn't really matter which way you do it, but what you want to do is just have a finished edge there that you're going to stitch. I'm going to go this way. Just get it exactly where I want it. And so when I sew this together, I'm going to join this in the same way, and I'm going to do a stitch along the top there to neaten off that edge. And I just keep it all together with a clip. But because you're hand sewing it on, you have a lot of freedom to manipulate it to be perfectly square. So that's it. Super easy, a great tool to use, and hopefully an enjoyable way for you to finish off your quilt.